It is fantasy football season, and trying to decide how to approach your draft, it can be a massive headache. In this series, I'm going draft slot by draft slot, talking over what you can expect to see from your draft position, what strategies you can use, which players you might want to take, and which players you might want to avoid. We'll touch on the sleepers available later on, and we'll even run through a super quick mock draft so you can see exactly how I would draft from each position. In this video, we're drafting from a 1 of 5, and these are the players that you can expect to see there. Justin Jefferson. Over the past 3 seasons, Justin Jefferson has averaged 102.3 yards per game, also averages 15 yards per reception. Truly elite numbers. Jefferson was QB proof in 2023. Despite only playing 10 games, he still managed to hit 1,000 yards. Even with Sam Darnold as his quarterback for the entire season, or at least the vast majority of it, we've seen enough from this scheme to know that it's very QB friendly and that he can really play well enough under this coaching staff to be able to get Justin Jefferson the ball quite easily. Bijan Robinson. No team in the NFL received a more significant offensive upgrade this season than the Atlanta Falcons. While you've got Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix there, and that is a messy situation, it really does ensure that the Falcons' skill position players have adequate quarterback play for the first time in years. That's not something we could say when we were dealing with Marcus Mariota or Desmond Ridder. Bijan, he outtouched Tyler Algier 272 to 204 in 2023. He also had 78 targets to Algier's 20, but he was kept off the field in red zone situations. He had 23 touches inside the red zone to Tyler Algier's 36. Bijan also only saw 3 carries inside the 5-yard line. Like, what the hell, Arthur Smith? Meanwhile, Tyler Algier had 6. Everything we've heard from the new coaching staff seems to suggest that they understand what a special talent they have in Bijan Robinson, and they are not going to make the same mistakes that Arthur Smith did. Breece Hall, despite playing with an absolute miserable set of quarterbacks and a horrible offensive line last year, not to mention coming off an ACL injury, Hall led all running backs with 93 targets and was second in receptions with 73. Due to the ineptitude of the Jets offense, however, Hall finished with only 8 touchdowns, tied for the 17th most at the position. 36 other running backs had more attempts inside the red zone than Breece Hall did. The Jets, they ranked 4th worst in percentage of drives to end in points at 26%. Even with Aaron Rodgers coming off the Achilles injury, that's going to improve this year. And Hall, he has VRB1 overall outcomes within his range. At the 105, there's a couple of players who I can't bring myself to click here. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown feels like a less safe pick than those who've come before his ADP. The Lions, they ran so pure in 2023, and their offense, it's set up so well for the long term. If Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta are able to take a second-year jump, which isn't uncommon, we see second-year leaps from players all the time, and if Jameson Williams finally turns up in the NFL, then it could really eat into Brown's ceiling. That's not to mention that this is a team who love to run the ball. That's a big part of their identity, and their defense is going to be better this year, so it just might not add up to as many pass-heavy scripts for the team. A.J. Brown. The past year, it was a tale of two halves for Brown, who scored 22.6 points per game in weeks 1 to 9 before going off an absolute cliff and scoring only 12.3 points per game for the rest of the season. Devonta Smith is a certified stud and still managed to produce whilst A.J. Brown was struggling. He's got room to take another step this year, and the Eagles spent all this money on Saquon Barkley. They aren't going away from the ground game anytime soon. We're going to use Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard to mock draft. It is insanely customizable. You can sync it to your leagues and automatically copy the settings in. Then it'll adjust the rankings for that. You can choose which expert rankings and insights you'd like to see, including mine, which are part of the expert consensus rankings of over 100 people from across the fantasy football industry. There's no waiting around for other people. Nobody taking 6 kickers in the mock draft. Instead, we can mock draft against the Wizard, get feedback from top experts on our drafts. Check out the link in the description below to start your own mock drafts right now. If you are finding our videos for the first time, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button down below. We are ever so close to 3,000 subscribers. Here we do Dynasty, we do Best Ball, we do Redraft, we do DFS. We get you cooking all year long. Drafting out of the 105, set for the 2024 season, half PPR snake, 1 QB, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex position, defense kicker, and 6 bench spots. Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown go off the board, leaving us a choice of Jamar Chase, Breece Hall, and Bijan Robinson. You can't go wrong here. I'll take Jamar Chase in this one. Breece Hall goes almost immediately. Coming back around, we could take Travis Etienne, but I really like Drake London. I think he's got wide receiver 1 potential overall. In the third round, let's add Jalen Hurts. Count on him having a bounce-back season after the bone bruise that ruined last year for him. When things come back to us, the running back position, it's starting to get a bit bare. So let's lock in James Cook, hedge against Josh Allen scoring all those touchdowns again this year. Stack Devonta Smith with Jalen Hurts, stacking less important in redraft than best ball, but we still want to bet on an offense. The running back position, it is getting dark out there. So let's add Raheem Mostert. Scored 19 touchdowns last year. Perhaps he can do it again. Add Brian Robinson, who is by far my favorite person in the Washington backfield. Things feel a little bit better now, and we can take the best player available. Let's take DeAndre Hopkins, assume that he is going to be okay in a few weeks' time, and we can sit and wait and scoop that value on him. With no tight ends so far, there's a lot of teams who don't have tight ends as well, so let's add Evan Ingram into the mix. Had a really good season last year. Perhaps he can do it again. I like taking a chance on him. Then let's add Jackson Smith and Jigba, another wide receiver who could take a leap this year. We're still a little behind at running back, though, with only 3. So let's add Jaleel McLaughlin, who there's been plenty of positive camp buzz about. We'll also add Jalen Wright, a rookie who has potential to really go really far in this Miami offense if there's a problem with Raheem Mostert. Now, some people don't like to handcuff their running backs. It's not something I always do, but doing these mock drafts, at least you can see how it turns out, whether there was another player that you should have taken at that point. With only Evan Ingram, we probably need to add another tight end, so let's add Dalton Schultz to the mix. The Texans' offense is one that's worth taking shots at. We're going to need a defense here in the 14th round, so let's take the Chiefs, who were excellent last year, and then pair them up with a kicker. Don't really want to take the same kicker and defense. Instead, let's take Miami's Jason Sanders, expecting the Dolphins to be poor on defense this year, which could force them into more shootouts. We got a 93 out of 100. Mark A. Take that every day of the week. The Mock Draft Wizard. You be cheering for Philly with your Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith stack? Absolutely. What if you drafted Christian Kirk, wide receiver, at 705 and drafted a running back later? Your score would have been 13 points higher. That's fair. Sleeper alert. Jaleel McLaughlin is the number 2 RB in our consensus sleeper rankings. Jalen Wright is the number 4 RB in our consensus rankings. What would you have done differently if you were picking from the 105? Let me know in the comments. We answer every single comment and question on this channel. Hit the subscribe button. And if you want more redraft content, check out this video on must avoid running backs.